You don't know how to run the ropes right. You're never going to be anything. If you don't do it my way, it's the wrong way.
So there was also a mental training that he was putting you through.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that was worse?
No.
Maybe
it was
okay.
physically worse.
Okay.
It was physically horrible. But Danny would drill it into our heads. You're nothing special. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm doing this as a favor to you, and I even cut you a break on price. Which he probably did. I think I only paid Danny $300.
Uh-huh.
But I paid Bobby like $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Bobby made more money than Danny did in the situation.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
You're not exaggerating?
No, not at all.
So just to use the ring in the building?
Because I had Danny paid off within 2 or 3 months.
Uh-huh.
But I kept paying Bobby until we were through with the Foley shows.
Really?
Yeah. Till PWA was dead, pretty much.
So the entire time you were still considered a paying student?
Right.
Okay.
That's why I never got paid for a PWA show.
I did not know that.
I paid Bobby until we were in Foley. And I remember I gave him my last payment at the show in Foley at the upstairs sweet-ass locker room that we used to have.
You got paid for Backyard Brawl, did you?
I did. And Bobby told me after that it was a mistake to pay me for that. That's Bobby. But Danny would drill it into our heads mentally that we weren't going to be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry wouldn't go that far. Jerry's like, hey, get over on that flip bump a little more. You look like you're going to kill yourself. His was more constructive, but it was still critical. But he was friendlier about it because it's the difference between Jerry Reiner and Danny Rowland.
Right.
I mean, knowing the two guys, you can tell the total difference, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all about that situation. But then Chris Irish and Don Odom,
Patrick J. Kelly.
And Paige, even Danny's wife.
Uh-huh.
They would come to us at the shows, at the PWA shows, or, just around and say, I don't know what Danny's telling you in the ring. I don't know what Bobby's telling you in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Or what they're saying to you at all, but I've heard so many good things about you and Iceberg.
Right.
Or Eric at the time, because we weren't even.
You didn't have...
That's a fact, too. He told me that, too.
They would come to us. Bobby said, these might be the best students to ever come out of my school. Danny said, these kids are good, and they're gonna make it, at least at this level.
Right.
And I think it was Irish who always says, I'm not going to blow sunshine up your ass.
Right, yeah, that's an Irishism.
Yeah. He said, he was like, I'm not just blowing sunshine up your ass. He's saying all this. So.
Irish was the PWA announcer / color comment.
And I think co-owner at one point.
Yeah, he did a lot of backstage stuff.
Yeah, and that's why we were supposed to respect him.
Right.
But training was a pain in the ass, as training should be. You should have to bust your ass for training and just kill yourself, honestly, in the middle of training. I think it should be required. Anybody that gets off for less than that doesn't deserve to be in the ring, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm saying that bitterly because it's what I had to do, but I've heard stories from guys like Nick Bondage and amongst others, Merck, people like that. I've heard stories from them where they had it a lot worse than I did.
Right.
And he was like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be here because I've seen what Danny does to you guys.
Uh-huh.
And Navy SEALs shouldn't have to deal with that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. And training was fun. I mean, because it was still living the dream.
Right.
I mean, it was like, I'm going to make it. And after that initial time when I threw up, like it was giving me life, after that, it was fine.
At what point after the training would you say that, how long had you been training, rather, before you got into a show? You had your first match. What was the first match you had? What promotion did you work for?
I guess about 4 to 5 months of training, something like that. Maybe even less, I don't even remember. Pretty much whenever we stopped having to pay Danny money, we were done training.
Okay.
My first show was WFW in November.
Bobby Wilson.
It was a 6-man tag. It was me, Iceberg, and
Filthy McNasty.
Filthy McNasty. And at the time, my gimmick name was Louis Viatoli.
Really?
Yes.
That was your first gimmick?
And it was like an Italian Godfather kind of gimmick.
What did Iceberg go as?
Iceberg was a white boy thug, very John Cena-esque.
Uh-huh. Way before his time.
Yeah, and his name was Travarius Jones. Jerry Reiner came up with that one.
Good.
Because he said that's how he speaks to ethnic women online, using that name.
Jerry does?
Jerry.
That's a
He
rip.
did. That's true. But, so those are our gimmick names. They didn't announce us as that, but we were a tag team called the Platinum Players.
Okay.
So it was the Platinum Players and Filthy McNasty against Danny Rowland and Hopscotch McGee and Flippy McWhippleton.
Yeah, they're big in the Northeast.
Two guys that I have no clue. I have never seen them since. Honestly, I've been in the business this long. You know, I mean, granted, it's not a long time, but I've been in the business this long. Have never heard of those guys again. Have never seen them again.
You don't remember their names at all?
One of them was something Harley or Harley something,
I don't remember.
and one of them looked like Davy Jones from the Monkees. And that's all I remember. And they teamed with Danny, and we had a 6-man. And I remember coming out. If you watch the tape of that match, which I think Eric is the only one that has a copy of that, and I don't ever want to have a copy of that.
Maybe we can dig around.
Even though it's my first match, I don't want a copy of that tape. And Eric says that our first match knocked the cool out of our walk because we were walking out to the ring roll. Just walking very straight back, just walking.
Right.
All right, let's get to the ring, you know. And we had the first match, and I was nervous as shit. And honestly,
How many people were there?
the WFW show, he drew pretty well. I'd say between 80 and 100.
Family? Were there family?
Oh,
members there?
our family?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Of that 100, 30 of them were us. They were stoked. They loved it. And a funny story about that show is in the locker room. Like I said, I was nervous. I was just terrified. And the only people, I mean, I was looking at the card, like, who do I recognize so I can, you know, be friends with somebody, you know.
Right.
Danny, you know, and you know, Aaron Blaze was supposed to be on the show, and I was like, oh, cool, you know, I know that guy. Or Red Anderson was supposed to be on that show, and I was like, I know the guy, I don't even care.
Right.
Somebody, anybody. Danny.
Right.
Nick Bondage was supposed to be there. No. So a lot of people no-showed that show. I figured out why later. But I think maybe Red did show up. I don't know. Neither here nor there. I had heard a story because Danny was trained by Robert Gibson, and I heard a story that Ricky Morton was big on shitting in people's bags or something like that, or he had done it before or something like that, and that was my fear, is that I would come back to change clothes and there'd be just a
So it wasn't so much messing up in the ring, or it wasn't...
Well, that came later.
Screw up, but ultimately it was somebody dropping a deuce in your bag.
Well, the fear of the ring came later because, well, my first show I was main event.
You guys were main?
We were main. You know, whatever. You know, two guys I'd never heard of before.
Right.
And never heard of since. We were main, but I was worried about coming back and seeing a turd in my bag.
Sure.
That was
You weren't so much worried about a turd in the ring.
that's what it ended up being.
Right.
But yeah, so there was that, and then after that was PWA.
Tell us about PWA.
PWA was flash in the pan.
Right.
No, it was my first match in PWA. I was doing the dark matches, the pre-tape matches.
Right, because we were doing TV and we would have guys do dark matches.
Right. My first match, it was me and Eric, who were newly named the Backyard Boys.
You said that it was like right...
No more than 2 minutes prior to us walking out.
Seriously?
Seriously. What names are we going to use individually? Don't know.
So you guys didn't have names your very first match?
Right. Well, no, we did, but it was...
Were those names you used?
We still going to be the Viatoli and the Travarius Jones and all that. And I was like, I don't fucking know. Whatever, you know, what do you want to do, Eric? What, you know?
Uh-huh.
He was like, I don't fucking know. So we went to somebody, a younger guy. I think Havoc, Chad Havoc. I think we went to him and we were like, dude, you know more about the business than we do. And he did. But I was like, dude, you've been here longer. What do we do? He's like, what name did you use in the backyard? Like, I was Vortex and he was Iceberg.